Alrighty, welcome back to round 4. You're with me, Toowoomba local, Dave Truman, Jund extraordinaire.
And me, Tyrone Phillips, judge extraordinaire.
Hey, I like that.
Thank you.
That's good. Well, today we've got an interesting match. We've got Ryan Freddy Kruger from Toowoomba. He's playing interesting Elves kind of mix. He's been developing and playing for a little bit of time now. We've got a Brisbane player, Anthony Vanderkop, and he's playing 5 Colour Breach.
5 Colour Breach. This, I believe, was after the most recent points announcement, which means the Gifts Ungiven was at 1 point, which is something that Vanderkop is playing. Please ignore the screen flickering. Our camera was a little bit iffy. Sometimes it tries to go into landscape mode or portrait mode when it shouldn't be.
Yeah, it tries to self-correct.
Yeah, when people bump the table or whatever. But so this was one of our events about, I think, 2 weeks ago now. It was a how many people did we have? We had 25, I think.
It was a smaller event, 25 or so.
Yeah,
We've definitely seen much bigger, but it was an interesting turnout. I always like these Toowoomba events because we get about 2/3 of the players who are travelling from Gold Coast or Brisbane or various other regions, and about 1/3 of Toowoomba. So it's a really good, diverse sort of player base, and we always see some interesting new decks each time these events occur. Happen about, I don't know, every 3 months or so?
Yeah, we try to run them every 3 months, yeah. So it looks like our players have shot off with a pair of fetch lands, a fetch land each even.
Very interesting start. Could be anything at this point. I'm not sure if these players were aware of what each other were playing. I know that what Freddie usually plays. I have a very specific kind of hand I want to keep against him. I'm looking for some spot removal. If I can slow him down early, that gives me a really good chance to stabilise. So not sure if Anthony knew this. Maybe a bit of a heads up play with keeping his hand, but I'm not sure what he started with.
Yeah, and that's something that the breach decks are very, very good at. This, especially this sort of 5 colour breach, just has all the best removal and all the best colours, and
lots of cantrips to find what it is that you're looking for. So any sort of decent hand to begin with is usually pretty safe.
Yeah, and Ryan's got his Raphelos, first play of the game. This guy taps for a mana for each forest he controls. So next turn he'll be untapping with 4 mana on board, which could go up to 6 with a single forest. It's rare that this elf deck doesn't have a 1-drop though, which is probably good for Anthony over here.
Yeah, pretty lucky. I've played against Freddie quite a number of times, and the usual sort of standard sequence of events is 1-drop into more elves that tend to produce mana and some sort of value as the game progresses, either drawing cards or Lord effects on occasion.
And there goes the elf. Red and 6 is fantastic.
That's a nightmare scenario. I mean, one of my favourite cards for sure. Combos aside, with strip mine, but just such a great card to see. Maybe in the blind against Freddie's deck. And I can see they're picking up that lightning bolt. Anthony's going to be feeling pretty relaxed, I think, with a Ren and 6 on the field.
That is fantastic, yeah. The Screws is pretty decent against Ren and 6. It eats whatever lands they try to eat, but lightning bolt's a great answer to it. Yeah,
it should answer it pretty much straight away. Yep.
Oh, a Braid, that makes sense.
Much more mana efficient here. It's serving the same purpose, and it's unlikely that the shatter effect is going to come in handy at any point. Thinking that he's on perhaps just a pure elves list.
Yeah, as soon as you see Raphelos, you can almost always assume it's elves. There are other green ramp decks, but elves is where that card shines for sure. It's a Braid main board is an interesting one. What do you think about that? What sort of decks would you be expecting?
I think
to play
it's it's probably just a meta call, honestly. It's one of those considerations that when you've got players coming from lots of different places, you've got to kind of prepare for anything almost. And the Brisbane players have been known in the past to run a little bit of big red. There have been some pure artifact decks as well. And I think it's just a generally safe kind of card in a flexible slot that it's going to hit most things that you want it to deal with.
Absolutely, yeah. 2 mana lightning strike, whatever, it's okay. It gets the job done.
But that's it. It does the job, and that's entirely what that card is for. It's to do a job. It's not, it's I don't know, a blunt kind of card. There's nothing fancy about it. It's just efficient, I suppose.
Yep. It's I always expect at least one time vault to be in the room in these events. Usually, someone brings a time vault or some kind of deck especially with Tyrone Academy being reduced to 1 point recently.
Yeah, we've seen an uptick in those kind of combo decks, those artifact combos.
Ooh, and a Green Suns for 3. What would you be getting here if you were trying to beat a Ren 6?
I mean, something that attacks pretty aggressively, I would say. It's a nice little window that Freddie's found here. When he's all tapped out, he knows that it's unlikely that he's going to have any form of interaction here. I don't know. The card that kind of comes to mind is like a Loxodon Smiter, but I mean, this still is okay. The 3/3 kind of scares me. The 3 toughness on this one, but it's going to generate Ryan some sort of value. It's at the very least going to draw him another card, which is what his deck does want to do. He's got lots of cast a creature, draw a card kind of effects in it.
Yeah.
So he does sort of need to start cycling through his deck and presenting some sort of threat. You certainly can't leave this Ren and 6 alone.
And you certainly can't leave the Leovold alone either.
No. So Anthony's obviously recognised that and respected that. And he's dealt with it in very swift fashion. And, what a follow-up.
Yeah, this Ren and 6 just sticking around forever and ever and ever is going to be a problem. I do like the Leovold. I think Leovold is a good choice there. Like the Leovold, it prevents the Elves from just sort of getting pinged off over the next couple of turns, if it sticks around, obviously. Because you don't want to ping an Elf with a Ren and 6 and have your opponent draw a card. Worst case scenario, it 2-for-1s your opponent, right? Like, they lose a card, you lose a card, and you draw a card.
Yeah.
So I think it was a good choice.
Yeah, and you could look at it as sort of like a check. Ryan might have been like, okay, well, if you don't have any sort of removal, this is going to get the job done relatively quickly. And if I can sort of untap with it and play some more things, he starts to assemble that critical mass, which is sort of what I was alluding to at the start of the round here when, if I'm looking at keeping certain hands, I know that I need removal against Ryan's sort of deck. If I can make him stumble early, I should be able to stabilize quite quickly after that. So it looks like Anthony's had that sort of safe passage. He's been answering these things 1-for-1, and Ryan's yet to get a bit of a foothold, but this could be the beginning.
Yeah, a pair of creatures with 2 toughness and
that is quite a nice turn for Ryan here. And again, it's kind of like that check, making Anthony have it. And the Ren and 6 is going to be able to do something. It can answer that Dryad Arbor, but there are still 2 creatures there. Deathrite Shaman is on the watch list.
Yeah, I would definitely expect this Dryad Arbor to get eaten by a Ren and 6 very, very soon. Also with the Leovold, note that he did draw a card off...
this is a nice little combo play here. So
1-2 punch. Bam,
yep,
bam.
1-2. He's cast the Liliana Last Hope. He's reduced that toughness of the Deathrite Shaman there, finished it off with the Ren. So name a more iconic duo.
This feels like something you've done before.
Look, it's a sweet play. I'm not going to lie. As soon as you start sticking Planeswalkers and they're all teaming up together, it's a good feeling.
Yeah, it's a lot of grindy value, and it's been working so far.
Yeah, and just looking at Anthony's deck list earlier, it's clear that he's jammed a lot of just good cards, just good solid cards. Efficient for their mana cost. They're flexible in terms of their role. Talking about a Braid earlier. Uro, for example, it gains your life, it draws you cards, it's a sticky threat later on. Just lots of solid fair magic. But then you've got that combination of, the Breach combo. And when you look at the slots that takes up, if you're already playing some cantrips, you'll find it eventually. It's got that inevitability. Whereas Ryan's deck, if you make him stumble, it's going to take, a few things in a row to try and to get back into it.
Yeah, and that's another point. If you were facing this deck right now and you think, my opponent's going to play an Uro next turn and he's got a 6/6, he'll draw 1,000 cards... This game could very well end without any Breach pieces being played. Would you assume you're facing Breach?
Well, that's it. We don't know if these players knew what they were playing against. I think Freddie's game plan is pretty much the same most of the time. You're looking for, the 1-drop into the 2-drop, and then you've got critical mass, and your hand just kind of plays itself out once you start cycling through the top of your deck there. I think Freddie has to take an aggressive line in this sort of board state, and that's obviously what he's doing there, which is great. But who knows if he was aware that he's facing Breach combo with that inevitability.
That was a big attack, but our Drown in the Loch was the victor, I suppose.
Drone in the loch.
Yeah, that was a good attack. That was going to kill Liliana and take a Renin 6 down a notch.
Absolutely. That could have been enough there to sort of stabilise it as well.
The longer these planeswalkers sit around for, like, Freddy's board is basically empty, right? Like, this
Essentially.
It's dying one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, it's dying on the untap, essentially, with Renin 6 on the board.
Or Liliana, either way. And, you know, I expect this Uru to come back very, very soon. There's only 4 cards in yards at the moment, but could be 5 very soon.
Mm-hmm.
And once that thing hits the board, you've got, you know, constant value from 3 different cards. Yeah.
I just don't think there's anything, or there's maybe 1 or 2 cards in Ryan's deck that could actually deal with a resolved Uro.
Yeah, it's real tough. Interesting that he's not playing. Oh no, sorry, he still can't.
Yeah, he needs that escape cost, but I think he's probably, you know, either just sitting on more removal, some form of interaction or permission.
He's
Nissa.
That's a good Nissa. I believe that Nissa creates a 4/4.
Turns a land into something, which is pretty good in this situation. You want that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so untap target land you control until your next turn becomes a 5/5 with haste.
Yeah, wow.
And you can rebuy things out of your graveyard. Interesting.
Now we're talking.
Bam, Planeswalker down. Yeah, 5/5 out of nowhere. Haste. I was thinking maybe Questing Beast would be sort of the card that you want, but
yep.
I don't know. I don't think it's in this deck.
It may not be. Being sort of like an elf combo curve out sort of deck. A Questing Beast could fit at the top of that curve, but I think you're looking for just more synergy.
I agree. There's not really any synergy with it. But no, the Nissa haste is a great way to do this. So Savine's
Reclamation. Okay, bringing back the Liliana Last Hope, and looks like he's minused at digging for a creature.
I think that was the 4-color Omnath, the one that does everything.
Yes. So a nice little sequence here. Probably not something Freddie was expecting. Seeing that Reclamation has got to give you some sort of alarm bells is what you're playing against, though.
I think so.
It's unlikely to be a cute little graveyard recursion. Something more sinister.
Although possible. Some people really do like the fair Savines. And I think that's very true in a more fair matchup.
Yeah.
It's not something I would want if this was a fair deck versus an elf deck, I probably would want to side that out. But if this was like a fair mirror match, then absolutely. Looks
like he's going to resolve his big Uro this time. Yep, there goes the graveyard.
Notably eating, I think, every fetch land in the bin. I don't think he has one in his hand, so...
No, I think Renin 6 has kind of done its job now. It helped him stabilise the board.
He does have 8 mana.
What he's facing against here, the Renin 6 really isn't going to do much anymore. You've got a 5/5 land and the Nissa on some loyalty, but I think the Uro is going to get the job done here.
Yeah. Speaking of, though, there is another fetch land, so if he does want to keep digging, he certainly can. But no, yeah, it's going to be very difficult for Ryan to get out of this situation. Like we say, there's a lot of synergy he needs to sort of build up, I suppose. And the Uro and the three powerful cards on the board.
It's an interesting choice here, not to attack.
With the Uro?
With the obviously with Summoning Sickness is not available with that one. Never mind.
I think even if it could attack, it may be correct not to.
Protect what you've got on the board.
Yeah, like the 5/5 haste. I guess you'd be killing the Nissa, wouldn't you? Yeah.
You'd kill the Nissa.
Never mind. So if I were Ryan here, the thing I would want is not a walking blister by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, beggars can't be choosers, Tyrone, unfortunately. It's a noble effort.
No, I think what I would want
this is cute. I mean, he's got the sort of combo play. This is like the Liliana Renin 6 for the Elves.
Yeah, I guess
Attack with the 5/5, ping with the ballista.
Yeah.
We'll see what Anthony does in response to this. But, look, Ryan, to his credit, is absolutely playing to his outs. He's thinking of interesting lines. He's going for it.
Yep.
And that's what you need to do in these situations, especially when you're on camera. You gotta show off a little bit.
Interesting that he played the Walking Ballista before attacking. If he'd attacked first...
Yeah, I think that probably could have baited the Uro into a block. Anthony maybe just has to call that bluff.
Yeah.
But look, I don't think Anthony's going to have a problem filling up this graveyard again. It'll just come back.
Well, maybe it was a double bluff. Maybe he would prefer the Uro to be on the board and just kill the Planeswalkers. So
yeah, that's true.
If I play the dude, he'll see that I can kill his Uro and he won't...
See, Freddie's thinking at a whole nother level than what we are. We didn't,
Oh, man, he's a very wrinkly-brained sort of person.
Us smooth brains over here. We don't know what's going on.
I tried to play Elves and Legacy once. I got very confused. I think I dropped like halfway through the event. It was hard. It was very hard.
Yeah, I mean it is all about sequencing and getting
so
max
many
value.
choices you can make in that deck.
Yep.
But no, if like I was saying, if I was ready, I think the thing that I would want here is something that gives you some recursive value of your own. Obviously, this play worked out really well for him, but. I think what I would want would be a Guardian project. I think that'd be fantastic. Start drawing a bunch of cards, start drawing a bunch more mana.
Right. Well, it's an interesting board state now. I mean, just moments ago we were saying that Anthony had almost locked this up. It looked really, really pretty bleak for poor Freddie here, but he's pulled it back. That Nissa is still sticking around.
The turns haven't quite.
The Ballista's annoying too because it's going to stop Uro from attacking another turn. It's just going to get in the way, and this Nissa is going to keep doing stuff.
Yeah, although every turn that the Uro does attack, Anthony is gaining 3 life.
That's right.
This elf deck can definitely do a lot of damage. Play Creative Behemoth and your opponent just dies, no matter how much life they're on a lot of the time. But if it's playing a more fair, play a bunch of elves, play a lord, hope for the best, it may not get there. Wishclaw Talisman. All right, once your opponent plays a Wishclaw Talisman with their Savine's Reclamation, you're pretty sure they're not playing a fair deck anymore.
No, it's been confirmed. We'll see what he goes to fetch for here. Talisman, it looks like a fair kind of card. It's like, you get to use it next, but often you don't really get a next.
Yeah, I think the card he chose was Opposition Agent, so there's definitely no going to be talismaning from Freddie's side if Anthony has anything to say about it. Which it's an interesting use of the card, right? It's sort of just 2 mana tutor, 2 mana demonic tutor for an Opposition Agent. If my opponent decides to activate it, then I win the game maybe. And if they don't, I have an Opposition Agent. That's a good time.
Well, obviously a few different lines here.
But no, it looks like Freddie's in a pretty decent spot. He's rebuying a card from his graveyard. Scavenging Ooze, okay, makes sense. So maybe if he's got some way of killing this Uro, he can eat it?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, that's definitely something he can be looking for. And again, this could be a heads-up play from Freddie, knowing that he's up against a graveyard interaction kind of deck.
Yeah.
Having that Scooz on the board is another layer that Anthony's got to fight through. And he's making a real fight of it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So he's acknowledged that right away. Swords is going to try and answer that right away.
Premium removal.
What's he choosing?
Goodbye, Savines.
Yep.
That's a good choice.
Good choice indeed.
Yeah, that card next turn could have flashbacked and brought back Ren and 6 and Liliana. It's gross. There's
back to square one for Freddie.
He's fought through the Liliana twice already. He doesn't want to have to do it again.
So this could be a pretty important draw step for Anthony. We don't, his hand is just off camera. We can't really see what he's working with here. Abrupt Decay, that's pretty clutch.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense.
That's obviously happening before the attack step. Freddie stopped him there and just to dodge all those triggers. But again, that graveyard, he can fill it right up again with just those 2 fetch lands.
Yeah, and it's I mean the Scooz is gone again, or now forever. So there's no more answer to that Uro.
And again, it's about that fair deck, good solid cards, really showing their value here. And even still, you have that inevitability over the top of that.
That was a rough Narset.
Yeah.
2 creatures and 2 lands. Field of the Dead would have been a fantastic one to pick up, but unfortunately Narset does not take
Not
lands.
an eligible target.
Doesn't feel like a land, that one, I'll be honest.
It just feels bad.
Yeah, alas. But, nonetheless, I mean, I assume the Euro is going to come back here, protect the Narset. You can use it again, maybe. There is an Opposition Agent still in his hand. He does have to think. You got to hold up 3 mana in case Freddie tries to activate.
Okay, the Omnath, yep. So he can definitely chain this a couple of times.
Now, Freddie's reading this. Do you know what it does?
Yeah, it's got tons of lines of text on it, actually, is what it does. And you read them. And so you draw cards and you gain life. And then the more lands you play, cool stuff happens. You get to make a whole bunch of mana and start casting things.
Yeah, the first land you gain life, the second one you gain 4 mana, and the third one you dome all their opponent and their planeswalkers.
Yep. So just a very good, efficient card again, especially when you're looking at 2 fetch lands on the field. That is quite cute indeed. And again, Anthony's really just proving the value of these good, solid, fair cards. As a Jund player, I love that fair magic interaction. This is the best kind of magic you can be playing.
That's it.
It doesn't feel bad, It's a tough game, but Freddie's still in it,
Look, as a Goblin player, this game has gone on for way too long. There's more than 3 lands.
You've already left the table. You're getting ice cream across the road. You're done at this point.
That's it. I played a Blood Moon on turn 2, and he just scooped, or I died.
Magic's so easy.
Yeah. Look, either I scooped or he scooped. I don't care which.
Either way, you get an ice cream scoop.
Oh, that's it. Keeping it thematic.
Okay. I can't recognise this upside down. What is this one?
I don't remember the name of this card.
Is this the one where you search for a creature?
Sort of, yeah. It's a werewolf. The front side is a 2-mana 2/2, and you can pay 3 mana to look at the top, I believe, 4 cards of the library and grab a creature out.
Right.
Or maybe you only look at the top 1 card, either way. But it's a mana sink. So if you get an infinite mana, like this deck often can, you can search through your entire deck and grab all the creatures into your hand. Not that he will need an infinite mana sink with his Walking Blister, but you never know. It could be handy.
Yeah. Just another angle that this deck can sort of attack from, I suppose. Some sort of recursion inevitability from Freddie in a way.
Speaking of things to do with mana, Raphaelos is about to produce a lot of mana if Freddie manages to untap with it. He's currently making 4 mana on his own, so next turn Freddie will have 9 mana if nothing else changes. Which could get pumped to the Ballista, or who knows. Alright, well this time the Narset has found some things.
Oh, is that a gift ungiven?
Yeah, those were 4 very good choices. I was going to say, this game has gone on for a long, long time, and while, it's not really anyone's game fairly, no one is really winning in at the moment.
Not in terms of the board state.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The longer this game goes on, the more likely it is that Anthony finds his breach combo, and this may be... Oh, no, he's decided not to. K-Command.
Very interesting, okay.
K-Command is the answer. That's cool. That's definitely a solid 2 for 1, and maybe that's just all he wants. That's the kind of game he wants to play.
Yeah, I mean, you've resolved an Omnath. You've got the lands on the battlefield, and we can see we got 1 trigger happening here for Omnath as that fetch land comes into play. Yeah, I mean, when you've got an opposition agent, you're sort of tempting your opponent with that Wishclaw Talisman. And now with a K command in hand, it's going to be a 2 for 1. The 2 damage is going to do something. The Shatter can kill the Ballista as well.
Yeah. Freddie's been very diligent not to activate that Wishclaw Talisman too, which is, I think, good. Very good. He's seen the line that his opponent's probably taken.
Yeah.
So my thinking is the reason he may have not taken gifts.
Ooh,
oh my god,
that's a Kess.
Kess just wants to play the long game, I guess.
He sure is, and you can see here that Anthony's really milking the value from this deck rather than going for the Wombo combo, I suppose. He had access to the Gifts Ungiven. He's chosen not to take that. He activated Wishclaw Talisman earlier in the game. He seems to be choosing these sort of fair options, which I think is pretty interesting to me. If I'm putting in a 5-color deck and I'm including the Breach combo, I'm kind of trying to make that happen.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. I think he's in a winning position. His opponent sure has a lot of mana, but if he's got more interaction in his hand, and we know he has a K command, I don't know. I feel like he's in a pretty good spot. Yeah,
he doesn't need to go for that. I don't know, the greedy line.
Maybe that's what he's thinking.
What he's got here is sufficient, and he's hedging his bets, I suppose.
Yep. It's possible that he didn't have enough mana to gifts and kill his opponent.
Right.
Or maybe because Savine's Wreck was already exiled, he couldn't.
Yeah, maybe he's just gone. Yeah, he's abandoned that plan.
Or there was just no 1-turn kill with it. Maybe. I'm not sure what you should be getting if Serene's Wreck is gone. But either way, I think Freddy is in a tough spot. Interesting that he was allowed to untap with a Raphaelos, but I guess with the mana situation, it's either untap with the Raphaelos or let you Wishclaw without my opposition agent being up.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's pretty fair, because even if he played the K command, Anthony would only have the 2 lands.
Yeah.
And he couldn't use that opposition agent, so he may just fear whatever Freddy wants to
Speaking of opposition agent, here we go. I'm ready for it. Slap that bad boy to play. No, misstep.
Mental misstep,
okay.
Alright.
Slam jam, thank you, ma'am. Interesting that he technically does have access to 9 mana with the Omnath, though, because he can crack 2 fetch lands and make 4 mana off that.
Right, yeah,
But,
true.
He's chosen a more slower route, I suppose. Yeah, so if you were Freddy here and you were going to Wishclaw Talisman, what do you think you would be searching for? You've got a lot of mana, but...
Yeah, I mean, like, even if you have all that mana and you've got your Crater Hoof, you need that critical mass on board to really make use of that.
Yeah.
That kind of card can still be pretty crushing. Like, you know, Kess is obviously priced into blocking some damage and things like that. And, you know, you can deal with the Narset. The Narset's really not doing that much right now.
There it is. Interesting. That was a show of... What's the word? Restraint from Anthony there. Not flashing in the opposition agent in response to the crop rotation.
Yeah.
And I guess Freddy thought, well, if he didn't have it then, if he didn't have it, surely he would have used it then if he had it at all.
Yeah.
And obviously he got baited into the sort of...
A little bit, but, you know, we can give credit where it's due, you know.
Yeah,
Freddy even just going for that bait play. Testing the waters like he was earlier.
Yeah, I think that was a great choice. Because if your opponent exiles a land Eddie deck, it's not the end of the world, right?
Yeah, big deal. I mean, yeah, there's a chance Anthony just straight up, you know, didn't care about the crop rotation. He's sitting on tons of land for himself. But
that is game
I think
one.
Freddy's seen enough.
Yep. He's had enough. There are too many things to fight through.
Great effort, though, honestly. And, you know, that sort of just goes to show the great thing about this format is all you need is a couple of interesting sort of cards to go unanswered for a turn or two. It can make for a very, very curious game.
Yeah, that was probably the most long-term plan I've ever seen in a game of Magic. Like, play my Wishclaw Talisman and activate it, and then, like, 10 turns later, play the card I got out.
Haha, I had the opposition agent the entire time.
By that time, you were just liking to draw it, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's have a look at these guys' sideboards. So, what do we have in Anthony's here?
For Anthony's, he's got lots of interaction, I can see. He's got a little bit of permission. In the sense of Dovin's Veto is kind of interesting card. For me, Force and Negation can come in. These are nice cards against other sort of decks.
Okay.
Against this deck, Pernicious Deed is fantastic. That's a card that Jund is now playing main deck just because of the prevalence of different creature strategies. I think is really great. What else? Assassin's Trophies kind of does something.
Yeah.
Again, it is about trying to stem the flow early. So there's a chance he can bring in some of that spot removal.
Yeah. Pyroclasm is also decent at stemming the flow. Even if you're only trading 1 or 2 cards out of it, it's still stemming.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time you're going to want to try and find that in your opening hand and you're just killing 1 or 2 creatures, but that's enough.
Yep. And maybe Submerge, I suppose. Again, even if you're just hitting Mana Dork, it's just a good deal, right? It's just a really, really good deal.
Yeah, he submerged me in this event and I was not impressed.
Yeah. But no, I don't think there's a huge amount. I think it's sort of just Submerge, Pyroclasm, Pernicious Deed.
Yep.
That's like I said, Assassin's Trophy would be fine.
It's like a maybe.
Yeah, you don't really want the 2 mana removal spells. You're much happier with 1 mana. But it'll do the job, you know?
Yep.
Cards I could see taking out. Maybe a Braid could be worse than Trophy, but it's very, maybe not even, it's very minor.
Yeah, it's very minor. On if you're on the draw, I think Thoughtseize is pretty bad.
Sure.
Inquisition's pretty bad. Those are technically 1-for-1s, but you want to be killing the right things.
Yep.
Not just a Llanowar Elf, you know.
You could also take out some of the slower cards like Kess.
It
worked then, but if your opponent's got a very fast elf draw, maybe not so much. Narset.
Narset doesn't really
I don't know,
do a whole lot.
He does draw some cards. Like, he only has maybe 2 or 3 cards that say draw a card, but they're very powerful. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, like I think if you're looking for spots and based on that game 1, if Anthony's not really going for that combo kill, Narset's way less important.
That's true.
You know, Narset digs. It's great at finding specific cards that you're looking for.
Yeah. Well, on the other side of the table, Freddy has an Extract, Pyroblast, Veil of Summer, Collector Roof, Return to Nature, Trick Bind, Blood Moon from his 5-color elf deck, Caller of the Claw, Choke, Hull Breacher, Opposition Agent, Rex Sage, Rise of the Dreadman, which is like another Caller of the Claw, sort of. Yeah. Teferi's Protection and Force of Vigor.
Yeah, so he obviously cares about his board. There's a chance Freddy brings in some of those, expecting like a Supreme Verdict or something,
or a Deluge. It's really hard to tell what could be in this 5-color sideboard from.
I'd expect to see some sort of board clear. Most likely a Deluge. So yeah, like 1 or 2 of those cards to bring all your stuff back is okay. Choke. It's actually not as good as you might think. Like, yes, you know, the 5-color deck does need that blue mana to operate.
That makes sense, yeah. It's certainly got a couple, like...
it's got a couple things, but if you remember from that game, Anthony was sitting on those fetch lands for quite a while until he needed them.
I don't know. I think I'd be tempted to bring Choke in. There's a lot of islands. There's a lot of non-islands too, but it might be enough, you know.
It could be enough, to just do the job.
2 or 3 lands tapped down, that'd be good, but yeah.
I'd expect to see the Extract. I think if Freddy can focus on one of those kill conditions and just get rid of it, that's really nice. Pyroblast is obviously a great include.
Yeah. Veil, maybe not so much. It's okay. It's definitely okay. Blood Moon, I think, would be fantastic.
Blood Moon's great. That's a slam.
Maybe Opposition Agent as well. There is, gifts and given in this deck,
totally. Yep. I think it's a nice threat that it presents as well. So I think there's definitely a lot of interesting options for Freddy. Less so for Anthony, but I think his deck kind of matches up pretty nicely to begin with.
Yeah, I think he's quite happy with how this match has gone so far, and I think he's happy with how it'll go post-sideboarding as well.
Yeah.
The exception, I think, is if there's a fast Blood Moon he can't answer, this game may just end. I don't know really what his ways of dealing with that are. But looks like both players have kept, and Freddy's got the classic 0 mana turn 1 ban from Modern Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, pretty great in Highlander. You better hope it's in your opening hand.
It seems to always to be for me.
Well, it's not too bad. Like this elf deck really does generate quite a lot of mana, and the 2 CMC, it's not so bad later in the turns at finding something good.
It's quite reasonable.
It feels a lot like an Ancient Stirrings later in the game, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think it's quite reasonable, honestly. I think the card is quite reasonable. So, looks like Anthony sees a Lionstar Diamond, and he doesn't want it, alright? He does have a Brain Freeze in his... Oh, there's that Pernicious Deed we're talking about.
Pernicious Deed. Sign me up.
But yeah, there is a Brain Freeze in Anthony's hand, so again, he just doesn't care about the combo.
Yeah, that's really interesting to me. Those are two cards in the combo. Like, he obviously needs to establish a bit of a board state.
Yep.
He needs to get his lands into play and things, so it could just be like a not right now kind of thing.
And the classic turn 2 1-drop play, when you know they've just drawn it off the top.
Oh, it's sad. It really is sad for Freddy, and it would have been really nice to see that Once Upon a Time into a 1-drop, and
that's the kind of side he really wants.
Start putting on that pressure. Yeah,
neither of these games he's had I guess Once Upon a Time is a play on turn 1, but he doesn't have like a board play on turn 1.
It needs to be an explosive start, and that's the strength of this deck, and it is actually quite consistent. It does it.
Yeah, generally it's quite good. I think he top 8'd the last event, maybe the one before that.
I think so. Yeah. He's been in some top 8s for sure.
Yeah, I believe he has taken some inspiration from this deck from Tim Go.
Oh yeah.
He's sort of the master of elves. Alright, so Kinnan, Bonder Elite. This guy makes all your elves tap for double mana.
Okay, using it straight away. Nettle Sentinel coming down here. And here we can see...
Scribbrancher.
Oh, right. Here we can see, Freddy's starting to curve out.
Suddenly, it's turn 2 and he's got... Well, turn 3 even, and he's got like 5 mana or something.
Yeah, and that was a slow start.
Yeah.
Do we know what he found with the Once Upon a Time? Did he reveal that?
The Scribbrancher, yep, the one that's on
right, okay.
Which I believe can untap things to bounce things?
I mean, that sounds like something elves are doing.
Yeah, I always forget. Return to forest, untap a creature. Okay, sure, makes sense. And has Pro Blue, which I imagine it comes up sometimes.
It's cute. If we think back to game 1, it was Liliana Last Hope and Renin 6 causing problems.
Yeah.
Neither of those are blue.
So Kinnan is gone. One thing this elf deck really, really needs is enablers. Like the dorks sort of give you a lot of mana, but you need something like Kinnan to really set you going.
Yeah.
So as long as those can be disrupted from the other side, I think Anthony's going to be in a good spot.
Mm-hmm.
And here's that
Pernicious Steed. Yep, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to just sit there, and we've seen some pretty good plays from Freddie already, with those heads up kind of, I don't know, sense of feelings, I suppose. And I think he knows that he's not meant to overextend into this.
I mean, you got to extend a bit though. I can't see Freddie getting out of this without this Pernicious Steed at least 3 for 1 again.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's clear that he's got to play another threat.
Yeah. Like hitting your opponent for 2 every turn is not a winning play.
It's not going to do anything.
And but at the same time, if you play something else that's too good, it just dies. You play something that's not good enough, then they don't kill it, and then they 4 for 1 you. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's real tough.
It's a real problem. And I think the interesting thing, the reason I like playing Pernicious Deed is because it makes your opponent make the decision. Like, you're just putting it out there. You're saying, here it is.
Yep.
Just tell me when. and it's up to them to make that decision.
Yeah. Realm Walker is a great choice, I think. It lets you play creatures off the top of your deck. So it does have a lot of value.
Yep.
But I can imagine there could be much more scary cards in Freddie's hand, which he might be holding on to. But for now. But no, here's a teaser for another round, and I won't tell you which one, so you got to watch them all. But in one of the rounds, a player cracks a Pernicious Seed for 0 on camera, and it is the right thing to do.
Ooh.
So go and find that one, our audience.
Very nice.
But no, Realmwalker's a very, very cool card from Coldheim. It's sort of like your Courser Crufix for creatures.
Yeah.
And it's a changeling, so it's also an elf.
Oh. Well, that has some nice synergies, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's in the sideboard of my goblin deck, because it's also a goblin.
Yeah, that kind of fits. Yeah, interesting. I don't know what Anthony's sitting on here. He's slowed it down a little bit, and again, if we think back to round 1, or game 1, I should say, he does have a lot of sort of tap out threats. He's got those planeswalkers. He's got some powerful creatures.
Yep.
But I'm expecting him to have some interaction here at the very least. It looks like Freddie's asking the question. Yeah. Is that Pernicious Deed popping?
For a turn is not nothing.
That's a say go.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I guess he hasn't found anything. Oh, there we go.
Okay, so end of turn, he takes the damage and then pops it. So okay, that's nice.
Which still sucks for Freddie. Like 3 for 1. Oh my god.
It's pretty brutal, but at least he got the damage in. And I think Anthony, again, respecting the cards that Freddie's got, that Gaia's Cradle is presenting quite a lot of mana at that point. So
you got to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because if he plays like a 6-drop here, your Deed can't do it.
I mean, Prime Time's in his deck. Even just a post-combat Primeval Titan is pretty scary, and that's not something that Anthony could have cleared with the Pernicious Deed being CMC too high. So
yeah, interesting that he let it go to his end step. Because if Freddie had just like slapped a Prime Time down, he would have been in a lot of trouble. He may have had a counterspell. I don't know. That would make a lot of sense.
Yep,
if he has
that's true.
Some other answer for some larger threat.
Yep.
But Beast Whisperer. This is, I think, a very good card.
This is cast a creature, draw a card.
Yeah, and it's not something I think you can allow to live. Ooh, here's
Psychable?
Some theory for you. What kind of triome do you reckon that is?
That is a Kitchener triome.
It makes 3 mana, and it's fetchable off a...
It makes 1 mana, but you get to choose.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Now, this is a Celestial Colonnade, I believe, which
That's very nice.
Is another card that sort of shows the longevity of this deck. It's if you're expecting a Colonnade to do a lot of work for you, then you're hoping for the long game.
That's true. Yep.
And a Wishclaw Talisman as well, setting things up for later on.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like the tides are turning a little bit here.
Yeah, again, Freddie's just not had the explosive start he wants.
Yeah, that Pernicious Deed really slowed him down a lot, and that's the sort of thing you want to see.
Yep.
From Anthony's perspective.
1-for-1 removal until you just kill a bunch of the stuff at once.
So this is interesting. He's used the Gaia's Cradle to crack and draw a card.
Yeah.
He potentially could have got more value by using one of his other lands and hope to draw a creature.
Yeah, unless he maybe has like a blue card and a white card that he wants somehow wants to cast in his hand. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah.
But the Wishclaw Talisman being passed over and not even looking at that Underworld Breach that's on the bottom of his deck. Doesn't
care.
Think about it.
No.
Nah, Teferi's the way. Here we go. Okay, Teferi bounce my Wishclaw Talisman is extremely rude.
That's very cute.
Yeah,
that's what we call
it.
value.
Look, sometimes you just got to pay 5 mana and get a Teferi on the field. Go for it, right?
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. That is exceptional. I've seen Dak Faden do something similar.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice, but I feel like we don't know what else Anthony had in his hand, but here it is. Freddie's got another window that he can kind of do something, and he's got the nurturing peat land. It could have been a redraw, but he's chosen not to crack it. I'm not sure what Freddie's really sitting on here. Nothing if Teferi's on the field. If he's just passing the turn. So I think that might have been a bit of a missed trick there. Maybe it's going to his head a little bit.
Yeah, maybe you should have been cracking that peat land.
I think so.
Now,
definitely using one of the lands. If he draws an exalted creature, at least that bird can do something. Again, we're just trying to think to those unlikely but interesting lines that could be an out.
Yep. Now, speaking of outs, though, I do think I saw a Lion's Eye Diamond and a Brain Freeze in Anthony's hand.
Oh,
so that could be an out pretty quickly.
I think so.
Out of this game.
Yep, and so that Wishclaw Talisman makes a lot more sense now. Finding that Teferi, it's a little layer of insurance, I suppose. That Freddie doesn't have anything cheeky going on, and it looks like he's really considering if he's going to go for it. He's pulling that card to the front.
He does have a handful of cards, though. I don't know. It feels bad discarding like 6 cards off your Lion's Eye Diamond.
Yeah, it does. But look, if this is the time to go for it, that's fine, because he kind of gave Freddie that window, like, okay, play something if you've got it.
Yep.
And he's kind of just played a land and passed back. So here, I think he's going for the Brain Fuse. It looked like he revealed it. Yeah.
Yeah, casting a Brain Freeze, targeting
himself. I would say.
What if that's interesting? What if he hits Breach? If he hits Breach.
Yeah, I mean, if he hits Breach, that's not great, but he's got the Savani's Reclamation.
Yeah, I suppose you can Wishclaw for a Savani's Reclamation. That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you just flash it back, I suppose, because he had the Lion's Eye plus the 2 lands untapped.
Yeah. But now he's activated his Wishclaw and cracked his Lion's Eye in response, and I can only imagine this is getting one thing.
Well, let's see it.
World Breach. The card that is maybe not enough points right now.
It's in the deck name, so it must be pretty good.
Yeah. This is a dead Freddy unless he's got some special action. He can unmorph creatures.
He'd have to have like a Fairy Macabre or something like that. He's not casting a spell, obviously. With
what a blowout that would be, though.
That would be pretty sick.
Fairy Macabre untapped, tutor for my best card. Oh my god.
Get wrecked.
But he's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fairy Macabre is definitely something that, if you want to beat Breach, Fairy Macabre is the one, because they just don't really have the tools
They're not going to see it coming.
No, and they really just don't have the tools to stop it. Yeah. They really don't.
So here we can see Mr. Anthony's going through the motions.
Yep. Play my cards, tick up mana, tick up Storm, play my other cards. Fairy doesn't have loyalty. We need that dice with blue mana. Let's get that out of here.
Yeah.
Brain
and I
freeze,
think
me/you/
Freddie's doing the polite thing, and Anthony gets to play his deck.
Yep.
He gets to do the thing.
Put some cards in the graveyard. Hope for the best.
Check that they weren't sideboarded out by accident, I suppose.
Yep. Look, he may. I mean, well, the
and
win,
now he's targeting Freddie.
The win condition is on the stack, so I don't know if he. I don't know if it's sideboarding out the win condition is we're but far beyond that, unfortunately.
That'd be a bit of a flex, though.
Yeah.
Just.
Now Freddie can still draw a card here. It won't help, but he can. Taking game actions is my favorite thing in Magic. So we'll see what happens, but this game is, I think, more than over.
Yeah, the writing's on the wall here, so I think Freddie might just be being polite here and letting him play out the deck.
I gotta say though, this graveyard is giving me anxiety. I don't know what's happening over there.
As a judge, are you triggered?
There's
excuse the pun.
2 to 3 piles, and I don't know.
Which is the bottom card of that? Scrabbling Claw pile.
Hopefully, it doesn't matter.
I don't think it matters.
But sure. Yeah, no. I'm not about this at all.
Yeah,
I'm not about
mate.
this at
Look,
all.
Anthony probably expected a little bit of a concede.
Yeah.
He's kind of just dumped his deck there.
Look,
but-
the game's Anthony's no longer playing Magic. He's just happened to he's spreading his deck out so we can see it, which is very polite of him.
Yeah, let's look at my nice cards.
Yeah, no, they're good.
Yeah.
No, this is basically it. I don't think Freddie can do anything. Oh, he's drawn a card. Yep, nah, game over.
Yeah, I think that's game over. So there you go. I think we see the power of Underworld Breach. Lots of great cards for the majority of that game, and it looked like an interesting game, and then Underworld Breach spoiled it.
Fantastic. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Dave, and we'll
See you in the next
see you
round.
Next round. Yep.
See ya.